Tiangui is the Chinese word for menstrual blood, and it starts for women, and so menstrual blood in women, and it's considered sperm in men, okay? And it originates from the kidney essence and matures at puberty. And what I mean by kidney essence is it's what we come in with, it's our original energy. Okay, and so with Chinese medicine, menstrual blood comes from three sources in our body: the spleen, which makes the blood, the heart, which governs the blood, and liver, which stores the blood. And blood is considered a very form dense of qi. And what is qi? Qi is the energy that moves through our body. It's the energetics. It's what gives us movement. It's what gives us our energy. And it drives a lot of things. So blood is considered inseparable from qi. And qi infuses life into blood. And there's a saying in Chinese medicine, where qi goes, blood follows. Thank you. Okay. So when we look at spleen making the blood, we get the spleen makes blood from food qi. So when we consume food, it goes into our stomach, and the stomach digests some of that food, as well as the spleen in assisting the stomach to send that energy from the food up into the lungs. And with this, you see it governs body fluids. The spleen governs body fluids. And why does it do that? So a lot of our foods have water in them. And when we send it up to the lungs help disperse that water energy and that qi to the rest of our body. The spleen is also in charge of holding our blood together. It prevents bleeding. So if you bruise easily, if you get bloody noses often, maybe when you have your menstrual cycle, you can't stop bleeding, then it's a good indication for us that we want to work on your spleen and maybe even your stomach channel, because that will, if your spleen is weak, you can't stop yourself from bleeding. So you might even get mid-cycle spotting and things like that. The spleen also controls the muscles and the four limbs, especially our motor muscles. So if you say, I feel really weak in my muscles, like I don't have the strength to lift things up, we also want to look at your spleen organ and boost that energy to give you more strength. The second organ is the heart. And we want to look at the heart governing the blood. And about in Western medicine how it pumps our blood and it circulates throughout our body, right? But the heart is also involved in Chinese medicine in transforming the food energy into blood. And of course, it's responsible for the circulation of blood, just like in Western medicine, but it also influences the uterus. And by that, it descends, the energy descends to the uterus because it's up here, so it's going to go down to help discharge. So it helps you get your menstrual cycle started. And it also works on the eggs in our ovaries to get it to ovulate, okay? So that descending function of the qi helps make the blood transform from yang to yin, from the onset of period. So what do I mean by yang and yin? Yang in Chinese medicine means the male aspect, the energetics, the light, the movement. It's very dominant and moving energy, whereas the yin is considered the feminine aspect, the dark, the water, the nighttime component, okay? So you need both in order to be in harmony, and that's why you see the yin-yang symbol where you have darkness and lightness, but within the dark and the light, there's still the component of the opposite aspect. So when the yang goes to yin, it's like when we go to sleep, when we're awake, our yang is more active, okay? But when we go to sleep, our yin is more active, and that's what helps us stay asleep. So at night, what happens is our yang enters the yin and the yin grows, and so you can sleep at night. But what happens at night is if your yang doesn't enter and you don't have enough yin, guess what? Sleepless nights. And that can happen with women who bleed too much, okay, in their menstrual cycle, or they're thirsty all the time and they don't get enough food and they don't sleep enough. So it creates this vicious cycle where they get into not enough blood, not enough sleep, not enough yin, all these things, okay? Now, the descending of the qi and blood also transform yin to yang. So when you want to bleed, right, you're trying to get rid of everything. So you need more action, you need more movement and mobility. But then after your period is over, now you got to rebuild. You're going to start it slowly. So you want, and blood is a liquid form of qi, right? It's a liquid form. So you want more yin. So your yin begins to get bigger. So your yin is going to start to transform to yang. And that little bit of yang energy helps you ovulate. So your eggs move down the fallopian tube for insemination. Now, the heart blood also nourishes the uterus. And when, so if you have good heart energy, you're going to supply enough blood and energy to the womb. Heart yang, the heart energy, meets the kidney essence, which is your original energy, to form the menstrual blood. So those two things together help form the menstrual blood. And the third important organ is the liver, storing the blood. And when the liver stores enough blood, it fills the uterus so that you can have a menstrual cycle.